You've got questions.
And we've got answers.
We're Sweet Sweet Bus Life. Let's get into this. That's hot. Be sure to watch to the end because we have a huge announcement that you don't want to miss. So we've got a lot of questions from Instagram and from YouTube. We were featured on 2 different tiny home tour channels, and through those videos we got a lot of comments and a lot of questions, and so we decided to put this video together to answer some of those questions. So yeah, let's get right into it.
First question is, what is your fuel mileage?
So our fuel mileage is around 6.5 miles per gallon. And actually, surprisingly, when we added the upstairs, it didn't even change it. I think that the aerodynamics of this bus are about the same as a brick, and I think adding anything to it didn't really change much.
The next question is, how much does the bus weigh?
The bus weighs 32,000 pounds.
And how tall is the bus?
How tall is the bus? That's a really good one, and it gets asked a lot. The bus is 13 feet 2 inches tall. It definitely looks taller. There's an optical illusion that's at play. And so, yeah, we get asked all the time how tall it is. And if you see it parked beside a semi-trailer, you can tell that we're still a little bit shorter than a standard box trailer. Although, if you see it by itself, it doesn't look like it.
How much water can you store?
So we can store 96 gallons of fresh water, which, if we conserve, can last us about a week or so.
And the last question for this section is, how often do you go through tires?
Yeah, so we actually have the same tires on here that were on here when we bought them, with one exception. We hit something in the road one time and it blew out the sidewall, so we had to change one.
That was fun.
Yeah, so the thing is with buses like this, these are truck tires. They're meant to haul a lot of weight for a long time, and we're not hauling anywhere near the weight that they're rated for, and so they end up lasting a lot longer. You generally will end up dating out the tire before you actually wear out the tread. Yeah. So, does it get hot upstairs?
It does if you don't have the mini split on, but thankfully we thought to put one up there, and so it circulates the air very well. And in the wintertime it stays nice and toasty, so the answer is not really.
Yeah, the upstairs is actually way better insulated than anywhere in the bus, because we still have these windows, the standard school bus windows, which are not very well insulated. The windows upstairs are double pane residential windows, and the insulation is really nice in the walls, so yeah, it's really well insulated. Do the kids ride in the upstairs while driving?
No. We have couches with installed seat belts for that purpose.
That's right. And the structure that we built up there, it's strong and it's lightweight, but it is not made for driving down the road, and it would not be safe at all. Did adding the upstairs make it harder to drive or plan routes?
I would say no on that. We get a little more wind, but other than that, like, we just really watch the height of bridges and things like that.
Yeah, and we use an RV specific GPS app that takes our weight and height into consideration when it plans a route. So yeah, just knowing your dimensions. I mean, any vehicle, whether it's 6 feet tall or over 13 feet tall, you should know how tall you are and know your dimensions and be watching bridges, because you can peel the top off if you're not careful.
All right. The next question is, how do the kids interact with others while homeschooling? Yeah,
so technology allows our kids to hang out with their friends all over the country. No matter where we are, they can still video chat their friends. And I mean, they meet friends all over the country, and they keep up with them. So.
And we do visit often. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And we are actually planning on doing a video on this topic later, so stay tuned for that.
All right, next question. Where do you stay when the bus needs servicing or maintenance?
So up until now, we've done all of our own maintenance and repairs. And so, yeah, we stay in the bus. We've done these repairs and maintenance actually at campgrounds. Yeah, we can just leave it right there in the campground hooked up, and we can do our thing. And yeah, so far, up until now, it's worked out perfectly.
And we typically have all tools on board. And now that we are off-grid, it makes it a lot easier to make sure you're not disturbing anyone.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What do you do for a legal address?
For legal address, we use a service called Traveling Mailbox. Essentially, they issue you a virtual address, and it is a legal virtual address. It's not considered a mailing service or whatever. I don't know what they classify. But it's legal for your vehicle registration, your driver's license, that kind of thing. And yeah, we've done that since the beginning. We've used the same one and haven't had any issues. And also, I guess I should mention, the way that works is they receive mail for us, and then those mail items get scanned. We receive an email letting us know that they've got the items. We can choose to open the item, have them open it and scan it to let us know what's in it, and then forward the item to wherever we are, or shred it if it's junk mail, or even hold it if it's something we want to hang on to for later.
It makes it really easy.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Do you stay in one place for long periods of time, or do you travel full-time?
That's a good question. We travel full-time for sure. We do stay around our family for holidays for a few months out of the year. But honestly, we've kind of gone back and forth on that since we started, just for various reasons. For example, this year we got to the Oregon coast for the summertime.
And fell in love with it.
Yeah, and our plan was to follow the weather, and the weather was perfect the entire time. So we spent all of summer on the Oregon coast. And so while we didn't stay in the exact same spot the entire time, we stayed in the same region for the entire time. And so I think that varies. But we definitely travel full-time. We don't have a specific home base that we go park at or anything like that.
How do you manage a single bathroom for 7 people?
Yeah, that's a challenge. We've all figured out how to make it work. There's definitely a bit of song and dance involved. And I would definitely be lying if I said that we didn't step out on occasion and responsibly use the woods if we have to, if somebody else is already in the bathroom. But yeah, no, we've all gotten used to it, and we've figured out how to work around it. And it's just life now.
It's easy to, whenever your kids are tweens, that everybody learns their own schedule. So some of them wake up earlier, and I'm going to get the bathroom first, and I'm going to get my makeup on, I'm going to curl my hair, do whatever. And then it's time for someone else to use the bathroom. So that's also nice too.
Yeah.
Is your extended family supportive of this lifestyle?
Yes. Yeah, I can answer that without hesitating. I think when we first started, there might have been a few hang-ups.
Definitely a few hang-ups.
Yeah, a few of them took a little longer to come around, but thankfully everybody is very well supportive. They're excited. We get to come see people. We're not stuck away in our city somewhere and on some rigid schedule. Like, we can go visit family when we want to, which is super nice. What are you going to do when you have a bunch of moody teenagers?
Beat their ass and send them outside. No. In reality, we do a lot of family meetings. That's just how our family dynamic works. And so the minute that people become uncomfortable, that live in our home, with our lifestyle, with this tiny living, with the travel, with any part of it, there will be massive changes. And that is something that we've promised and we've stayed true to since the beginning. That is actually why we added the top edition, was because they were becoming uncomfortable, taller, growing up. And so things will change when we have a bunch of moody teenagers, should they be in a way that they don't want to do this anymore. But other than that, everybody has their own spaces. Everybody knows, which trails to take if they need some alone time, wherever we are locally. And we just make sure that we respect everybody's space, and we teach that now, so it's not super, super hard later. I'm not saying it's not going to be super, super hard.
Yeah, that's right. I think I would add there, I don't think we have to wait for them to be teenagers to be moody, because I think we've already got that one. I think we've got that one in the bag now. We've got some, we deal with some moods.
Yeah.
Oh, this one. Why do the parents need a king-size bed when the kids' beds are so small? People are mad about this. Why are you guys so mad about this?
Because we're extremely selfish individuals and we would rather have our children have no space. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, because when we first started this, we had an infant in the bed with us. And so we wanted plenty of space to make sure everybody was safe. And then we ended up having another child on board the bus after we started the lifestyle. So we ended up having 2 kids in our bed at the same time. So it really worked out well for us. It's also the space that we had. It just made sense for us. Not saying we won't change to maybe a queen size in the future, but it just made sense at the time, you know. And we do have a lot of space under our bed that we take advantage of avidly. So.
Yeah. And I mean, to add to that, I'm 6'3". Like, I mean, yeah, we could probably go down to a queen size bed. It would be fine. But also, we had a king-size bed like that we moved into here, so it's like, you know, we took what we already had.
Yeah, because we did not have extra money to buy a mattress at the time. Yeah. We were doing everything else.
Yeah, and people, the people who are, those of you, I'm looking at you, those of you who have come after us for this, our kids' beds aren't actually that small. These are they're considered an IKEA junior bed. It's not a standard size in America, but it's the IKEA junior size bed. You can buy them at any IKEA. They're almost a twin size. They're just a little bit narrower.
Yeah.
I've literally taken naps in their beds before.
They're comfy
obviously, their spaces are small.
Yeah.
A lot of people get hung up that the kids can't sit up in their bed. Honestly, I can't sit up in my bed. This is just a trade-off for us being able to live in this space and to go where we want and to do the adventures we do. Yeah, I think that, I mean, the space is not as unequal as a lot of people let on, I guess.
It takes a lot of evolution to figure out your life. You know,
That's right.
You discard the things that you no longer need and you add to the things that you do need now. And so when you do this, there's a bit of changing involved.
That's right. All right, next question. Do we have a home base?
We are based in Texas. That's where we started out at. But as far as a stationary home, no, this is the plan right now.
Yeah. Right, and finally for this section, what will happen when the kids grow up?
They will grow up. They will be grown.
They will be grown, yeah. People ask this a lot. This is one where people seem to get really upset about too. This is not the end of the plan for us.
Right.
Like, this is not, like, we've got plans, and they're, like, this is just right now. This is now. We're not going to get hung up on what are the kids going to do in 15 years and whatever. That doesn't matter right now as far as this goes. I mean, yes, their education is handled. Everything they need is handled. So yeah, we're thinking about things in those terms. But as far as, like, you know, what are the kids going to do when they grow up and they don't fit in those rooms anymore? Those rooms are going to be somewhere else, you know? Like, this is not the end for us. For sure.
I think this question also comes from, like, a certain mindset, and you have to understand that when you live this lifestyle, you are constantly, like I mentioned earlier, you're constantly, like, evolving and you're changing. So, like, just because we have this doesn't mean it's a brick and mortar, like, home and this is where we're going to be forever. No, this is just for right now.
That's right.
So, does it add miles to the Jeep to tow it?
It does not. Our Jeep actually has a factory tow mode, and so essentially the transfer case goes into neutral, and the transmission stays in park. And I mean, the axles will still turn, the differentials will still turn, so regular maintenance on those things is important. But as far as putting miles on the car, it doesn't put any miles at all.
How do you all fit in the Jeep? We also have a video for this?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So obviously we have a Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. It comes from factory only seating 5. It has the front row and middle row, which they consider back row. And then we've added a custom fabricated third row seat. Which is not a big deal, but I mean, it does exactly what we need. It adds 2 more seats in the back storage area, it's solid. It bolts to the frame. It has seat belts integrated into it. It's perfectly safe, and yeah, it gives us those 7 seats that we need, and we can go adventuring. I mean, it's a Jeep Wrangler. We can take it anywhere. I mean, my Jeep people will agree with me on that. Would you ever consider converting a double-decker bus in the future?
No. I'm always no.
He's
always
buses.
yes. So the thing is not yet or we'll see. Like that's a better answer to meet in the middle on both of those.
Yeah, and we actually came across a really nice double-decker bus when we were looking for buses on this one, and it was just way out of our budget. If not, that's what we would have snagged it.
Yeah, because we loved that. That was cool.
Amazing, and it would have been so neat. I've seen some people do some really cool things with those, and I think it's a really cool platform to build on. But yeah, we'll see what the future holds. Will you ever add more on top?
No. We are at the max weight right now that we want to be at, that we're comfortable with. So we aren't going to be adding any more things to the top. We did talk about doing a skylight scenario in here. That's still something that we're still not sure because, again, weight added to the vehicle. So, no. Yeah,
and we also talked about potentially putting a roof deck.
We did talk about that too.
Because they're really super cool, and I think they'd be amazing. And I think we could do it fairly lightweight. But again,
we'll just have to see.
We don't want to get too heavy, and especially with adding weight on top.
Yeah.
At a certain point, it's going to throw off the center of gravity, and we don't want to do that.
Nope. How do you each find time for yourselves, and what do you do when you can tell everyone is at their max because of living in such a small space together?
I think that this is going to vary for every family.
Yeah.
For us specifically, I feel like we really had a handle on this before moving into the bus. And we had a big house before this. Our house was over 4,000 square feet. Way too much house. We absolutely hated it. Honestly, we hated it. The thing is, though, we would always spend time. Like, I've worked from home. I've worked remote. We've homeschooled the kids. So we're always at home. And so most of the time, like, I'm in the living room, my laptop working, and they're like hanging out in the living room doing school, or everybody's like we were always all together. So we're already really like close knit and always like physically close. And so moving into the bus didn't change that much. Now the difference here is in that 4,000 square foot house, people could disappear and go spend some time on their own when they were just they needed it. We don't have that here, but like she mentioned earlier, the kids are old enough. They know how to go out and hit the trails. We've got two-way radios that we can keep in communication. If somebody's out, needs it, like one of them yesterday was outside, pulled out the folding table, set up and started doing some color by numbers out there just because they were at the max and needed some time on their own. And so, it's just, I think it's one of those evolutionary things that you pick up. Yes, we've been doing this almost 6 years now. All these things are coming natural to us. I mean, we still learn stuff every day, but we've gotten a lot of this stuff, the swing of this stuff, just from doing it.
And a good benefit, too, is that everyone does have their own specific space.
That's true.
Nobody has to share a space with someone else. Like, that belongs to them. So if they need private time, they've got it.
Yeah.
If we need private time.
Hey.
Really? A robot mop when those girls are old enough to be doing chores?
Okay.
This guy.
So the thing, when I read this one, it frustrates me so bad.
It's wrong. Yeah.
Number one, yes, a robot mop because they're freaking cool. It's freaking cool. It's a robot mop. The girls are old enough to do chores, but guess what? So is the boy, and guess what? So is all of us. We all do chores. It's a family. We all do chores together. That's what you do. That's what families do.
That's our family dynamic, is to all share responsibility.
Yeah, and besides, I mean, who doesn't want their floor mopped automatically when you go to bed? Anyone?
Excuse me. I said it whenever we leave too.
Yeah.
So it cleans the floor when we come home, and the floor is like completely clean, and it's just really nice. I mean, there's a lot of foot traffic. I mean, we are 7 people. We've got 3 dogs and a cat, so there's a lot of foot traffic, and so it's just nice to have that extra cleanup.
Yeah, that's right.
How much did it cost?
So the bus we purchased at a bus dealership. We paid $4,000 for it, and then we added in the first phase of the build we added $31,000, and then with the phase 2, which kind of rearranged our living room a little bit, moved our entry door down to the middle of the bus, and then also added the upstairs. That was an additional $15,000, and so that brings our total. We're sitting at about $50,000 total.
Why have your cat box under the bed?
Man, this is one of those too where people just lost their minds over. it's not, whatever. Okay, so first off, it's to not waste space. We had an empty space under the bed that you can't really get to easily.
Yeah, but she can.
But she can. We've made her a little tunnel that goes in the side, kind of goes through the wall and up, and it's really awesome because she just like goes in there and does her thing. Secondly, like we do have an automated litter box, so like every time she goes in there, it's like motion senses her, and then it like scoops it and cleans it up. And honestly,
dump that about once a week. So really, the heavy lifting part of it is like once a week. So it's not that bad.
Yeah, and when we put it in there, we did actually have plans to put in like an active ventilation system, so it would like draw air out of that compartment and push it out the side of the bus. But when we put it in there, we're like, let's hold off on that and actually see if we need it. And we didn't need it. We haven't needed it. Like, we don't smell it. The only time that you might smell it is, one, if it's getting warm in here and then like the litter's getting on the end when it's time to change it. You can smell it. That's happened like 2 times. We've had it in there for probably a year now or more, and that's only happened like once or twice.
With that knowledge, we've decided to put a fan in. But
yeah, we're gonna do the fan one day. It's not super priority, but one day we'll do it, and it'll keep the air nice and fresh. But we don't smell it. I know people say, "Oh, cat owners are nose blind." Maybe we are. I don't know, but we don't smell it. So, yeah.
Okay. Last question for the section is, do the police mess with you?
No. We've only ever been approached by the police a couple times. A few times. Several times when they approach and they're like, this is the coolest thing we've ever seen. And then they ask questions about it. And, just like basically anyone else at any fuel station or grocery store or anywhere else we are. And then secondly, one time we were having a mechanical issue and we were kind of limping our way along the highway on the shoulder to get to a rest area to make a repair. And we had an officer pull in behind us and make sure we were okay. And then actually stayed behind us with his lights on to make sure that we were seen, visible and everything.
We've also been on the side of the road trying to do a fix when an officer pulled over.
Oh, yeah, I
and
forgot
he was
about that.
like, hey, do you need help? Can I call somebody? I know this guy. And we're like, no, we got it. But
yeah. I know that that's not the case for everyone. I know that we are super privileged to be able to make that claim because I know there's a lot of prejudice involved. Number one, there's a lot of prejudice involved. There's a lot of racism in this country. I think everybody's aware of that at this point. But there's also a lot of prejudice involved in schoolies in general. A lot of times people see schoolies and think, oh, those are nasty hippies or whatever. And yeah, so fortunately, like, I'm very thankful to say that we've never had an issue. Like I said, I've seen cases on Instagram where people are getting fuel at a fuel station and the cops come up and we're like, where are you coming from? And they're like, oh, we're, coming from here and we're headed out to this particular state. And the cop goes, well, that state's that way, so you need to go on. So I hate that, and I hate that for those people, and I really wish that things were different. And I wanted to acknowledge that while we've had it nice as far as it goes with police interaction, I know that's not the case for everyone.
No, that's not everyone's experience, and that's all relative to your background and many different aspects, especially in America.
That's right.
If you are one of those people that see a bus and think that, oh, look at those nasty hippies, you are right. We are a nasty hippie. So do not knock on my door. Don't bother us. We don't want to talk to people like you if you're going to be that way. Just like if we lived in a house and you didn't like my begonias growing and you wanted to come complain about it. I don't care. So yes, we are the nasty hippies and you can keep on going.
That's right. All right, we've got a few more questions. I said a few and I put up 2. We have 3 more questions. But as promised, here's a huge announcement that we want to share with you. Today, we are happy to announce something new. Something fresh. Meet Buslife Style. Apparel and goods for people who love bus life. Today, our catalog is live and new designs will arrive every week. Follow @buslife.style to keep up with news and updates. Hop over to buslife.style in your browser or click the link in the description to shop now. Thank you so much for following along. All right, so once this video is over, you hop over there, buy yourself some Buslife merch, like this sweet rainbow icon shirt that I have here. This is available. You can get it right now. You can have your own.
Your very own.
Very own. All right, the last 3 questions. We're actually going to kind of, we'll read off the 3 questions, but I think the answer is all kind of in one. Mm-hmm. So the questions are, what's next for us? How long will we live bus life? And then, do we ever plan to stop living the bus life? We have, as I kind of hinted toward, we have big plans for the future. We're pretty big thinkers, so you can imagine that they're pretty big plans. So all I could say is stay tuned to see. As far as how long we're going to do this, we said from the beginning that we're going to do this until it doesn't work, until it doesn't feel right. And the doesn't feel right there is based on a lot of factors, including and probably mostly our kids. Mm-hmm. When it's not right for our kids anymore, that's when we're gonna park it and figure out what the next phase is and where it goes. I don't think we'll ever get rid of the bus. I think we'll always keep this bus because even if we have like a stationary home that we're at, I know we're gonna want to travel.
Yeah. And it's our baby. We love our bus.
And even if we're traveling in something else, I think we're still gonna want to keep this because we've got a lot of time invested in this thing
and memories and
yes,
and we're just sentimental boys like that.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
And do you ever plan on stop living the bus life?
It's all the same, and like right now there is no end in sight, and I genuinely mean that. And I know some days it's just like, oh man, this again or whatever. Like maybe we're facing breakdowns or whatever the issue may be. Thankfully, we haven't had a lot of that to deal with, and we've been able to take care of it on our own. But yeah, sometimes it's just like, oh man, it's time to move on. And then like the next day, I'm like, why was I thinking that? Yeah. Because bus life is freaking awesome, and like, no.
Yeah. And I think that's relative too, because if you're in a home, I'm sure, and I know because we used to be there. Like you have those struggles too. You're like, oh God, the water heater went out. Like this problem, that problem. There's spiders or whatever your things are in the house. We have ours too. So.
Yeah.
It's just until it's not.
Yeah.
This is it until it's not.
Well, that's it for this video. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like, and if you have a question that we didn't answer here, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below, and we'll address it in one of our future videos.
And do all the things that all the YouTubers tell you to do.
Yes.
Like, subscribe,
smash that notification bell, all those things. Yeah, no, if you're interested in following in our journeys, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace out. Very own t-shirt with all these colors.
I'm feeling violated.
Sounds stupid to me.
There are a few parts where I was like, I'm gonna change that part.
Everything that I say.
Okay.
Subscribe.
Okay, let me do this again.
We got Prime.
Alright.
Can I have something to eat?
Let's go wash your skank ass hands with soap.
After.